Hello, I'm Ashley. Today I wanted to talk about a couple things actually. I am going to do a full moon reading. The full moon is going to be in Gemini, and the energy just feels exciting. But it feels like change to me, and full moons bring like illumination and just like, I don't know, especially with it being Gemini, I'm just feeling like clarity. And so I just kind of wanted to see what comes up for that, like collectively, because I feel like there's like with the clarity and with like the mind, and I'm well, my sun sign is a Gemini, and I don't know, maybe that's why I'm feeling excited. My moon is in Pisces, which is like super emotional, but yeah, like I said, my sun sign is Gemini, so our sun sign is kind of how we see ourselves. Our moon sign has to do with like our emotions and like our mother, and then our rising sign is like how others see us. So like my sun sign is Gemini, my moon is Pisces, and it's fun. Well, so with Gemini it's like the twin, so it's like the light and the dark, and that's what I feel. I just feel like I have both sides, and I'm really good at seeing things from two different like sides, from the dark side and from the light side, and kind of like using them to work together. And like I said, I love my mind, and Gemini is an air sign, so that deals with the mind. I love the mind. I love to like, I'm just, things are being illuminated for me, so that's why I wanted to share, and I wanted to do a reading because I feel like it'll just kind of go together. So with me, I'm seeing like why I chose to experience some things in my life so that I could understand them and then teach them to other people, because that's what I want to do. Like, I just like to teach people things, but in order for me to be able to teach something and for me to be able to understand and have compassion for other people while I'm teaching them, is for me to like immerse myself into a particular situation or just like a similar experience, so that I have the understanding, I can understand the emotions, I can like almost put myself in their shoes. So like for me, like I'm experienced emotional abuse, verbal abuse, psychological abuse, and physical abuse, because I wanted to see how it affected the psyche. Because I love the psyche, I love dissecting the mind, I don't know, I just love the mind. I think it's intricate, and it's just beautiful, and it's amazing, and it's intelligent. It's just like, oh, I just love the mind. So I could learn about the mind all day. And like I said, I like to be able, like, I want it for me to be able to help other people's like dissect their mind and see where their beliefs stem from and help them with their self-limiting beliefs, is for me to do it myself. So I had to do it myself. So I'm seeing like my life challenges or the things that like I could fall victim to as something that like I needed so that I could do this work. And so I chose to experience these things so I could see, like I said, how they affect the psyche and how I could like undo them, or how I could recover the psyche, or how I could heal the psyche, and how I could use something that could be seen as bad and turn it into something that's seen as good, or like turning the darkness into light. And so this is just how I choose to see like my whole perspective is changing, and like I said, it's just illuminating a lot for me. So it's like, okay, exactly, now I know, instead of like being resentful, instead of being angry, because I was towards like my parents, and I was angry at them, like, where I was like, why would I choose this? Or like, those are things that I thought, and like, it wasn't just easy peasy for me to like grasp or to understand. I really had to stretch my mind. But as I did, I was able to see my experience as not something to hold me back, but as something to propel me into a deeper understanding of myself, of my soul, and understand it from a different perspective. Like, why would I, choose to take these things on? And like now I'm just seeing that I had to take them on so that I could understand, so I could help other people, so that I could serve, because there are just a lot of, so like I was talking about the moon and like your moon sign and how it like affects your mother, and or how it's like it just, I don't really know exactly, but I just know that well, I mean, your mother has a huge impact on who you are. And so like I have a lot of mother wounding, honestly. I do. I have mother wounding, and for me, I chose that. Like, I chose my mom for a reason, and it was to teach me how to feel my feelings, because she's at the other end of the spectrum, so she doesn't really feel her feelings. And so growing up as my feminine symbol, like what I would see as a feminine, was distorted because she didn't really feel her feelings. I remember like as a child, because when we're children, you think about our minds, they're not developed, so we don't have like, we just don't have the mind there, so we're just going off our feelings. We live solely from our feelings. That's why we cry when we're hungry. We cry when, you know, we have a crappy diaper. You know, we just, that's how we communicate, is through our emotions, especially when we're children. It's how we understand, you know, like you can tell when you feel loved. And so when you're a child, your emotions are just how you operate. It's how you move through life. It's all you know. So you're just basically going off your feelings. And I don't remember, like, because I'm very in tune to my feelings. I live from my feelings. It was like, and she was not in tune to her emotions. And I just believe this is like a karmic lesson for her, and something that like she's had to learn. And that's how I choose to see it. Like, I don't think she's horrible. And I don't think like she's, okay, so a lot of people believe that like narcissism is just like a terrible person, and I don't believe that. I believe narcissism stems from it's karma, and it stems from spending a lot of lifetimes neglecting your feelings, because maybe you've experienced a lot of things, and I believe that it stems from victim consciousness. So even if things like, maybe you've spent a lot of lifetimes as a victim, so you've experienced really a lot of hard lifetimes, a lot of challenging lifetimes, a lot of things that would trigger a lot of deep emotions, and instead of feeling them, you just push them away. And then so throughout lifetimes, it'll form in your personality because it's karma. So karma isn't good or bad. It's not like something you do. It's the universal law of cause and effect. So the more you continue to push out your emotions, it'll return, and as a result, you shut off your emotions completely. And the more times you spend in lifetimes deeply ingraining this belief and deeply suppressing your emotions, it just turns into any way you can avoid feeling your feelings, which then it forms like this lack of self-love. And then that just, you know, it gets repeated. So a way to integrate this karma so that you aren't spending lifetimes repeating this cycle of not being in tune to your emotions, you can heal your emotions. You can choose to feel your emotions, which is going to be hard because you've kept them in for so many lifetimes, you know? And it's just become your nature to suppress those emotions. So, like, you'll just do anything to avoid that process. And like I said, for me, I'm somebody on the other end of the spectrum where I feel things immensely. That's why it's really hard for me to be on Earth right now, is because I feel things deeply. So I can feel the suffering of the world, I can feel the hatred of the world, I can feel the fear of the world, and it's just a lot to take on. Like, I can just feel things deeply. That's why it was important for me to do things that I love, because like making these videos is fun for me. Doing like readings is something that I enjoy doing, and these are things that I want to talk about. And like I said, like I want to have deep conversation. I don't want to talk about the weather. I don't want mindless conversation. So anyway, I'm just at the other end of the spectrum, and so I needed to learn that. So I needed her, like, and at first, like, when I first started Heal, I just couldn't understand, like, because my whole life it felt like, because like she didn't have any she didn't feel her feelings, so she didn't have feelings, and I could feel that. And it just felt like she hated me. It just felt like she hated me. And so I formed this belief that she, like, hated me. And that was really hard for me to work through. Like, I couldn't understand it at first, but then I understood from her perspective. And when you're not in tune to your emotions, you can't really empathize with somebody else. So, anyway, yeah, that comes with, like, it's also where, like, the victim consciousness stems from. And, we're not speaking up. Like, I learned how to not speak up from watching her be in a relationship with my dad and allowing herself to basically be treated like shit, like, a lot of the times, and she chose to stay, you know. And so that formed my belief that that behavior and accepting that kind of behavior from somebody else is, like, normal. Or so anyway, that's just something, those are some things that I'm dealing with, and, like, I'm just recognizing, and it just makes so much sense. Like, I had to experience, like, the psychological abuse. And so psychological abuse is basically just being told by someone, like just lies. It just manipulates the mind, and it wears you out. It wears you out. It wears you down. It mentally exhausts you, like, and you just can't fight back anymore. And then you just start to accept and believe those things about yourself, and it just really tears you down. It just really, it wears on you, on your mind. It wears on your mind. It's mental exhaustion. I was so mentally exhausted that, like, I couldn't put in this, like, I had no, my mind was so burnt out that, like, it was hard for me to, like, put any effort into, like, school or to myself. That's why I neglected my body. I just was neglecting myself. And I don't know where I'm going, but anyway, it just wears you down. So learning how to come out of that was really hard. Like, learning how to come out of that, like, psychological phase. And people really, like, I don't know, there's just, like, and, like, the verbal abuse was just the way I was talked to. So the way I was talked to became, like, my inner voice. I was just talked to, like, I was talked down to, like I was stupid. And sometimes parents have the tendency to think that because, like, they're older, that they are somehow smarter, and that's just not the case. Like, we can learn so much from our children if we really allow ourselves to, and, like, get over this authoritative, like, I'm older than you, I know more than you, and that's just not always the case. Like, especially there's just a lot of wise souls that are being born, and they're here to help the generations that are, like, stuck in their ways of, like, believing in a different life. And, like, the more you get stuck in your ways, the more, like, stone-like your mind becomes, and you only see one thing from one perspective. But we have to open our minds, and that's how we relate to each other. That's how we relate to each other. So it's about being, like, vulnerable and open, and like, recognizing those things. And basically it's just about, like, turning your, like, just like I said, with the full moon, I just feel like a lot of illumination. So we're just really learning to, just sit up straight, learning how to see the things and see our challenges and see our life from a different perspective. That's what it feels like. So we're just getting the opportunity to illuminate some things. And, like, I don't see my parents, I see them as valuable teachers. Like, I'm so thankful for the things, because, like, I believe we chose to experience these things with each other. I remember, like, making contracts with them, like, and they, on a soul level, they didn't necessarily want to do this, you know, they didn't want to, but they were doing it for me. And I don't know, that's how I feel. That's how I choose to look at it. That's what I believe. It's what I believe. And so it's just really empowering. And when you can take what you've experienced and then turn it into like financial abundance. Like, you can create from it. Like, you have to create from your roots. You have to build from them. Otherwise, if you just neglect that part of yourself, your foundation's not going to be very strong. So you have to embrace that part of yourself, the light and the dark, and that's what comes with like the Gemini, is the balance of the two, the light and the dark, and taking our dark and using it for the greater good, for light, and turning it in. And that's how you transmute, and that's how you clear karma. That's how you grow and evolve as a soul. And that's what I came here to do. Like, I just want to grow. Like, that's what I came here for. Anyway, so, alright, done rambling. But that's just kind of what's going on with me, is like things are just being illuminated, and like I'm releasing the past, like releasing resentment and anger towards my parents, and because we have to do that. Like, we hold this, like, you could hold like this resentment in, and you could be pissed at them. Like, they're like children that have experienced, like, you could consider it like far worse, like neglect or abuse or whatever the case may be. But it doesn't matter, regardless of what you've experienced. Like, one is not worse than the other, and we all have to learn how to cope with it and to deal with it however possible. And this is how I choose to. I choose to express myself. I choose to share my story. It helps me integrate. It helps me transmute. It helps me express. It just helps me like get it out of me. And I feel like people can relate. People have been through things like this, and I feel like there's just a lot of sensitive people, and as a sensitive person, you might experience to deal with like somebody like a narcissist or somebody who psychologically abuses you, or emotionally abuses you, because it's the other end of the spectrum. And like I've mentioned many times before, as souls we learn in contrast, and so you would choose to experience the opposite end of the spectrum to be able to learn as a soul. One thing that I also wanted to mention is like, I just see like natural disasters from like a higher perspective, and I can see why they're happening. And like things with like narcissism, it's just like greed. And I was just thinking about the fires in California, and I was thinking about California. If you think about California, collectively it's a very greedy country. There's like a lot of greedy people all living in one area, and if you think about it from a soul level, all their souls want to learn this lesson. This is a huge, mega important lesson we came to learn in this lifetime, in this country, is financial security and being attached to the physical world. So these people's houses, like wealthy people, their houses burned down, maybe they lost all their possessions, and it's like, can you see it? Can you let go of the attachment to your things? Can you let go of the attachment of the things and what they mean? Can you just let it go? And I believe that's why those fires happened in California. I feel like there's always just a bigger reason, because we're like, oh, how could, all these people die and all these animals be hurt and all that? Like, doesn't that seem like an evil way to teach somebody a lesson? Or doesn't it seem like wrong? But it's not. It's like your souls. And when you're not learning a lesson, when you're not seeing it, when you're just blind to it, like me, I had to learn, like sometimes the universe will do things to really make you see. It'll force you out of your comfort zone. It'll really push you to let go. And if you choose not to let go, then you'll have that cycle come up again in a different scenario in another time, And so I believe that a lot of people that lost their possessions or lost their home, and there's a light worker that I follow. Her name is Candace Vandell, and she has just had an amazing like perspective from it. And I think that was part of like her mission. And like I believe she did lose her home, and she was talking about how hard it is. Like, she is just reminded that like her home and her like stability doesn't come from material things, that she had to let those things go, and that the real home and the real security comes from within. And I just think it's a beautiful way to look at it. And I just feel like that's really important. So I'm glad that she, like, I'm almost, like, glad she experienced that, because it, like, it makes so much sense. So I was just thinking about that. Just because with the greed comes, like, if you think about money, it's like they say, you know, it's the root of all evil. And we're just creating that because we're just very greedy. It's almost like creating, like we are creating what could be considered as like hell on earth, because we're so focused on the material world. And I'm just being told to focus, like, keep focusing on serving, because that's what we came here to do, and God will provide if we can like do this work for Him and see our own contribution to the things that are happening in the world. If we can do that work, then He will provide for us. He will support us, and we just have to believe it. So anyway, okay, so I've already rambled for 20 minutes. This just gives me, like, a place to express myself, and like I said, especially with the Gemini moon coming up, it's, like, communicative, and I like to talk, but also, like, I like to talk about things that, like, I am going through, or, like, things that I perceive, and just, like, I don't know. Anyway, this just gives me a place to express myself. It's like an outlet. It's like a creative outlet. So, like, I just don't care if anybody watches this. Like, I just don't care. This gives me a way to, like, get my ideas or express myself, get them out of me. And that's really what I'm being guided to do, is just, like, share myself. And who wants to share themselves? Nobody, you know? Nobody wants to share themselves. I always had this, like, fear of, like, being weird or, like, being seen as crazy. And it's like, I can understand that what I say might sound crazy. And also understand that, like, it's my truth at the same time. I can, like, simultaneously know that it's crazy or that it sounds crazy, and also believe and know that it is my truth. So, anyway, I'm gonna start now. Let's see, okay, so I'm gonna ask collectively where we are this full moon. So where are we at this full moon? First I want to clear my energy, cleanse my aura, open up my auditory visuals, clear out my crown chakra to my divine guidance, making me a clear channel for the divine. This is going to be a collective reading for the full moon and Gemini. Bless these cards. Bless this reading. Bless me. Okay. So the first question, where are we at collectively with this full moon and Gemini? Where are we at right now? Okay. 10 of Cups. This is like a great card to be at. This is like emotional fulfillment, the ultimate goal, like the family, and that makes so much sense. It's like emotional, like family contentment, family healing, and I was just talking about, I love when this happens. So it makes me feel like collectively, like, this is what I'm experiencing. So it makes sense that this is what I'm experiencing right now. And like choosing to see your family through the eyes of love, because sometimes that can be hard when we've experienced things, or like maybe they reject us, or they don't truly see us. It can make us feel like cut off. It can make us feel like disconnected. I'm just feeling family healing, kind of, is what I'm hearing. That's where we're at right now. Like releasing the past so that we can have this, because when we hold on to the past, it can be hard for us to have this emotional fulfillment, because like sometimes our emotions can control how we're feeling if we allow them to. So I feel like maybe family emotions are running high, especially with the holiday, and sometimes like like forced family gatherings are just the worst in my opinion. And so, like, you know, there could be like some conflict, but I feel like maybe the conflict is bringing this. I also see this as like becoming your own parents. Like I see this as the masculine energy, the feminine energy, and then the inner children, like the inner child. So this is like a happy family within, and feeling happy and content within yourself, but also with the family, like also with other people. This could be like with a relationship, because I guess like the 9 of Cups would be feeling it all yourself, and the 10 of Cups is like the whole deal, the whole shebang, the whole family. So I feel like maybe this is like illuminating this feeling of love for our family, for our past, for our roots, for who we are, because our parents and like the way we were raised and the way we grew up, they make us who we are. And I can tell you that I'm extremely grateful for everything I experienced, because without it I wouldn't be where I am now. I wouldn't be who I am. I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing and wanting to do the things I want to do. Okay, I like that. I'm going to pull an oracle card too for each one. So that was where are we at right now. And let's do what needs to be, because with full moons we always release. Like full moon is a release. So what do we need to let go of? What do we need to release? And then you can practice this like tonight. Write it all down on a piece of paper. And you could burn it if you want to. But even if you just like set the intention that you're releasing, you know, maybe you have to release attachment to family members. Maybe you need to release anger. Maybe you need to release resentment. Whatever you need to release, it's a good night to do this. So, yes, what do we need to release right now? Release bad habits, release, you know, just whatever's not serving us anymore. So what do we need to release with this full moon? Okay, Ace of Wands. So this is like a passionate, creative new beginning. Interesting. Let me pull another one. What do we need to release with this full moon? So maybe this is like release your passion, let it out. Let your wild out. That's what it feels like. Because passion to me is just like wild, and it's like, it's just fiery energy. Fiery energy. Release anything stopping you, anything holding you back from your heart's truest desires. That's what I hear. So release anything that's stopping you. Release any fears, release any doubts, release any past childhood wounding, so that you can have this new passionate, fiery beginning. Or like I said, we're using our like family wounding as a way to fuel this new passionate beginning. So when we can use our past and turn it into passion, like we can take the anger we felt, because I feel like the opposite end of passion would be anger. So we can either choose to be angry, or we can turn that anger into, it's just passion. It's passion. If you let go of the resentment, if you let go of the attachment, so that's what I'm feeling, to let go of. Let go of the attachment, let go of the anger, let go of the resentment, let go of the fear of upsetting anyone, the fear of pushing people away, the fear of rejection, the fear of abandonment, the fear of... So you just write these all down, like write them down, like write in your journal, like right at the top, like full moon release. You can do it like full moon and Gemini release if you want, like you can date it. That's what I like to do. And then just state what you want to release and set the intention that, and like, so it will be. And I remember when I first started really noticing the energy of like the full moon, because you know we are like 70% water, so the tides, you know, are affected by the moon, and like so is the water in our body. Like so I used to get like, especially because our psychic abilities are just amplified during the full moon, and oh my gosh, excuse me, my eye itches, and it heightens our intuition, you know. So our intuition is super high, and with our feminine energy is really high, and our feminine energy is all about like receptivity and setting intentions. And as we set the intention, that like another thing you can do is imagine all these This is what worked for me. So I had my family members, and I was super attached to them because I love them dearly. Close your eyes and just imagine they're attached to you with these strings, and just imagine taking a knife or whatever, like a big machete, and cutting these ropes. You're just cutting them, and you're just watching them fly away. You're just letting them go. You're letting them go, and so it is. And as you begin to release, like, you're not releasing these people forever. You're not releasing your family. You're just releasing the attachment to them. The attachment stopping you. Because I know my passion comes from helping people that have experienced the same thing as I have. And I know that my opinions and sharing my story, it also triggers a lot of my family members, and it triggers them. And this could stop me. This anger, and it's not coming from me. That's just what I had to learn, is that, like, these things are being triggered for them, not for me. Like, and so, like, my passion is to do that, but sometimes we can let our family members stop us from following our passion. It's 111 right now. I just saw that. I love that. And 111 is all about, like, manifestation. It's like, and it's, I don't know, I feel like 1 is like the number of new beginnings, and that's kind of what I was saying with this card. So I like that that's 111. Perfect. And it's all about manifestation and like feeling whole. Because when you see, like, I saw 11 today actually too. I love that. So the 1 is just like feeling whole. So I like that, like feeling whole. And this is what this is all about. It's like feeling whole, feeling all this, you know, like your masculine energy, your feminine energy, your inner child. When they're in harmony, you feel whole. When your masculine energy is healed and your feminine energy is healed, you feel whole inside. You feel married. You feel whole. You feel together. You don't feel separated. And sometimes, like, we can separate ourselves, like, especially even from our family. Anyway, all right. So I asked where we're at with the full moon. What do we need to release? What else? Let's ask what's being illuminated. What is being illuminated this full moon? What is being illuminated right now? What is being illuminated with this full moon? During full moons, we can get really emotional. It's being illuminated with this full moon. Okay, this is the 7 of Pentacles. So this is like abundance. This is like taking stock of like what you have and maybe still what you need to plant. So it's just like a thorough like examination and kind of seeing like what's stopping you from growing maybe. Or maybe like, because this is all about creation in the physical. That's what I feel like. The Pentacles are just more about the physical world, the material world. I'm kind of seeing, like, I feel like these passions and stuff, like what you can bring out of them, like what you can create from them, like seeing the like fruitfulness and in them and like watering them. Okay. Just kind of seeing what's under the deck, because these two just stood out to me. So another thing is the 5 of Swords. So this is like what's being illuminated. So I feel like this is like conflict and ego, and the swords are the mind, so that makes me think of Gemini. And then this is also Page of Swords. So just like not a very mature energy. It's not like the Queen of Swords. It's more childlike, more free, is the word I hear, but not always like extremely clear. So there still might be like some conflict and some ego in the way. That's what's being illuminated. So the mind. I feel like it's the mind and how we choose to like see things, because you see here he's kind of like looking at them, like he's inspecting them, he's kind of like just observing them. He's not doing much work, you know. See, he's rested there. He's just like taking stock is what I hear. That's just what I see when I see this card, is taking stock. Like maybe seeing how you can like take these like I just feel like family healing, so like the wounds maybe from your family, and that's what's happening for me too. So, and like seeing where you can turn them into like creation or financial abundance. But this can also be like conflict, so it's just like conflict of the mind, and like saying things maybe that are, I want to say like harsh, but it's not coming from a place of like meanness. It's coming from a place of like the inner child, from the child perspective. So that might be what is creating some like conflict. That's what I hear. That makes sense. Okay, so that's what's being illuminated, and then my foot's falling asleep. Okay, so and this just might be like I said, because like with full moons they can get emotional, and so like these emotions might be creating this like mental confusion, this mental conflict. So like just being aware and just kind of observing, and seeing what you can, seeing the value from it. That's what I hear. So like seeing the value, just seeing the value from it. Okay. And then lastly, let's ask, actually I'm going to ask two more. So what's the next step? Or like, what do we need to know? Like what can we look, or like, I'm trying to think of the right word, like for the next cycle. What do we need to focus on? Let's do that. So what do we need to focus on right now? Also, sorry, I just want to go back. Like, the mind can like self-sabotage us, and that's what I feel like maybe this is. Like self-sabotage. But what you need to do is, like in this moment of like observing, is to observe the value. Observe what you've learned from it so that you can create from it. Okay. Sorry, anyway, what do we need to focus on? What do we need to focus on with this new cycle? Okay, this is the Empress. I like this. It's got a lot of focus. So this is all about like self-love and self-care and nurturing yourself, and and the word fruitful comes to mind, which I was saying that kind of about this, like Seven of Pentacles, like, so what we need to focus on is nurturing this aspect of ourselves, nurturing, this is the divine feminine embodied, so really incorporating and doing things in the physical to really take care of ourselves and to nurture ourselves, and, yeah, so the focus is self-care, self-love, because also, like I said, like, while you're creating these things, I know for me personally, like, I want to create something from my past. I want to use my past to build from, and that can bring up a lot of, like, feelings of rejection. It can bring up feelings of abandonment, like, inner child wounding is what it brings up, because you're observing it, and you can't get enmeshed into it. So that's why this like self-care and this self-love is so important. It's like going in between. So you're like reviewing the past right now is what I feel like. So you're reviewing the past, and seeing how you can create from it while simultaneously letting go of what you experienced and seeing it as something that made you a victim, and instead seeing it from this Empress energy, because I think of like the Empress and then the Emperor and then like building an empire, and yeah, so that's what I feel like, to just focus on taking care of yourself, this is like the mother energy, so like really, yeah, just nurturing yourself, taking care of yourself, because yes, working in these, like with these past memories, because that's what I feel like, remembrance, and and it's just bringing up a lot. So the way to get through that, because you have to move through the fear, you have to move through the like fear of rejection, you have to move through the fear of abandonment, and the only way you can do that is by really taking care of yourself. Like, and that means like just like being really gentle with yourself, and like taking bath. Like I take a salt bath. I incorporate that into my like weekly routine to really help me like clear my energy, and so that's something I do for myself. I do yoga. That helps me stay grounded. I like to be outside. I can't really be outside right now, but I like to connect to earth energy. I have plants in my home. I like to like touch them and like interact with them because they help me stay connected to the earth. Or like pets are really good for grounding you. Walking your dog, getting outside, getting some exercise. Dancing, I like to dance. That keeps me active. It helps me use up some energy, because really this is not like a very action-oriented energy. It's more of a receptive energy. It's the Empress, it's the feminine energy embodied. But in order to embody the energy, you have to do the things that allows the divine feminine, our intuition, to really stay grounded into the earth, because like the high priestess would be like our intuition, would be that feminine energy, the more spiritual aspect of it, but the Empress is the more like embodied energy. And so it's like taking intuitive action. That's what I feel like. So it's not always about doing a lot of things. Sometimes the intuitive action is to really release and let go of things. That can be the action step. The action step isn't always like physical action. Sometimes the action is letting go of worry. It's letting go of doubt, releasing. That's a lot. So that's the focus, is to like nurture yourself. I feel like this is like learning to meet your needs, and like just really finding out what your needs are and just meeting them yourself, so you're able to provide like a sanctuary. That's what the feminine energy is about, is like feeling nurturing and loving and compassionate and understanding, receptive. So think of it as like a mother that's nurturing a new baby, that's like nurturing a newborn. That's what you have to do for yourself. Like you are a newborn, and you're also a new mother, so you have to do both at the same time. And that can be challenging. That's why I always talk about like being a mother, because I know what it feels like to allow myself to be like a child, but also how to care for myself like a child, like I would for a child. So I have to be gentle with myself. Like I know I always like have these moments right before I have like breakthroughs where I just experience a lot of fear, and like I eat a lot when I honestly like when I have a lot of fear, and I've gotten good at what I choose to eat, but like I allow myself to go there. I allow myself to, because I know that I'm not going to stay stuck there. That's the only thing. Like I have to allow myself to move through it, and that means being gentle with myself. That means being understanding that I am scared. I'm scared, you know? It's okay to be scared. You just can't allow it to stop you from doing what you want. And you can stay stuck there for as long as you choose, and then it just becomes self-sabotage. But if you can see it and you can move through it and you can allow yourself, like, and you tell yourself, you know, like, I'm not going to stay stuck here. Like, I understand what I'm doing right now. This is where you learn to be compassionate with yourself. I understand what I'm doing right now. I understand why I'm doing it. I'm doing it because I'm scared. I'm doing it because I'm trying to protect myself. That's where we learn to talk to the ego, and we learn to befriend the ego, and we talk to it as if it's our loved one, you know. And you're like I'm safe right now, like, and you just and that's what nurturing this Empress energy is about like telling yourself you're safe, and like you'll get through it, and like it's about like being your own cheerleader and being a cheerleader for yourself, and also a mother, like a nurturer. It's like a gardener too, like because you're just like watering, and as you allow yourself to be in this energy and you nurture those things about you, like you're just watering them, you're strengthening them. Like just like as a plant needs sunlight and it needs water to grow, so do we. We need our emotions, you know, and we need that light aspect of ourselves to help ourselves grow in the dark. Anyway, a lot of like information coming through. It's funny because like with these cards, like I said, these are the major arcana cards. Like there's just so much information that comes through these cards, more than like, that's why like with this one it was like I pulled a couple more just to clarify, but usually with the major arcana I just get very clear messages, so that's nice. Okay, and then lastly, if we focus on this, what is the outcome? If we focus on this, what is the outcome? If we focus on this Empress energy, what is the outcome? Okay, this is the Six of Swords. So this is like victory. That's what I hear. Victory, like confidence. Sometimes it could maybe be a little overly confident. But you will be successful. That's what I hear. So you will be successful if you can nurture like your Empress energy. Sorry, I'm just like looking under the deck. And this makes so much sense. So under the deck with sometimes I'm just like called to look under the deck, not always, but sometimes. So with this victory, like, this is what comes with it. This is also like the Knight of Cups. So like maybe a romantic offer or an offer of love. And then with that, like, this is the Knight of Wands. So very passionate. And it also came with Ace of Wands too. So like a very passionate movement forward. And then Ace of Cups. So this is like new emotional fulfillment. This is like new beginning in romance, new beginning in relationship, new emotions, feeling renewed emotionally. I like that. Feeling renewed emotionally. And then, okay. There's just more cards speaking to me. So then also is like this Nine of Wands. And this is like almost the completion of a cycle, like feeling exhausted, feeling worn out. And with that also comes the Eight of Swords. So this is a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety, just a lot of mental energy. So sometimes this like worn out feeling can make us feel like defensive. This is kind of what I hear when I say defensive, and he's kind of defensive too, like paranoid, like unsure, like this is like not being clear at all, like a lot of mental confusion. And like with that comes, this is just speaking to me. So the Eight of Cups, and I like that the full moon is on here, well, the crescent moon and the full moon, and he's kind of like going off in search of this, like the ninth cup. And the ninth cup would be all of like feeling emotionally fulfilled on your own, and not like wanting it from somebody else. So this is a time of like introspection and like kind of going inward. And then with that comes the Ten of Pentacles, which this is like, I feel like this is what like it's working towards, you know, like taking and observing. And then this is the ultimate goal, like create. This to me is like the Empire. This is like, and there's like a older gentleman here, like he kind of reminds me of a king, and then there's like two people married, and there's a dog, and there's a child. So this is like dreams being fulfilled. And sorry, there's just a lot of cards here speaking to me. This is like the Queen of Wands. So this is like your heart's desires, following your heart's desires, feeling very passionate. The sunflower represents to me like a new beginning or like a fresh start or a renewal, and that's kind of what I was feeling with this like Ace of Wands. And so, like, this is being, like, really just very passionate energy, this fiery energy, creative energy. And then lastly is, like, I feel like this is, like, letting go of this. This is, like, loss, abandonment, rejection, feeling left out in the cold. This is, like, releasing, I feel like this is really about releasing poverty consciousness and recognizing poverty consciousness and, like, moving forward from there. That was a lot of cards, but I was, like, all under the deck. Sometimes, like, that was just wonderful. Sometimes there are stories that are under there. Like, that, I feel like that was the overall, like, energy, is, like, this feeling of it, like, this is where we're headed, like, the spread that I did with the 10 of Cups, which is, like, emotional fulfillment, feeling whole, which will spark this new beginning. We're releasing any fears, any doubts, to pursuing our heart's desires. What's being illuminated is how our mind gets in our way. We're learning how to observe, like, our material things, the things we already have, so we can release that poverty consciousness and create that 10 of Pentacles energy, which is, like, the Empire. And we do that by nurturing our Empress energy, which is our receptive energy. It's taking care of ourselves, being our own mother. And as long as we focus on that, we will be victorious. We will ultimately receive and offer up love, is what I feel. Or have a new beginning in love, a new passionate beginning. That's what I'm getting there. And then under the deck was the Eight of Swords, the Nine of Wands, which is feeling very exhausted and mentally tired and worn out. The Eight of Cups, which is about being reflective, going inward. And by doing that, we have the 10 of Pentacles, the Queen of Wands. And in order to have that, we release the poverty consciousness, which is the 5 of Pentacles. Amazing. I kind of feel like I don't even need an oracle card. Let's just pull one. What's the overall message for this full moon? Okay, financial constraints. Sorry about the glare there. So financial constraints with, what else can you tell us? Okay, well, under the deck, blossoming abundance. So they're kind of almost like contradicting. I feel like we have to release this like fear of financial constraints, or resolve this financial constraint, and like blossoming abundance is coming. So maybe you might be too focused on the material, and this is causing, like, anxiety or fear, kind of like what was under the deck. I feel like there's a fear of financial loss when it comes to following our heart's desires. Like, because, yes, we will be asked to give up things material-wise, you know. But the fulfillment that comes from it is so, and it's not going to be like that forever, because I see, like, the 10 of Pentacles here, like the Empress, which is, I just feel it's, like, that's what the blossoming abundance is about. Like, abundance is a state of mind, and it's like, what is abundance to you? Abundance can be, like, subjective, so abundance could be anything. Like, abundance could be this happy family. That's something that makes you feel abundant. Like, following your heart's truest desires, that could make you feel abundant. So it's about feeling abundant, and, like, and this is just, like, being scared of, like, financial loss. That's what I hear. So, like, don't worry about the financial loss, because blossoming abundance, it's just, there is blossoming abundance, and blossoming abundance is financial too. When you focus on the abundance you feel, and you're creating from abundance, then you're ultimately creating financial abundance. It's just how it works. It's like using the law of attraction. Okay, one more. So what can you tell us about this financial constraints and this blossoming abundance? Okay, so this is happy family, but it came in the reverse. I'm actually going to read this because I feel like it's important. So, and the message is always really good. And it's funny because this happy family card, like, looks a lot like this card. I like that. But yeah, so in reverse though. And I like that, like, financial stuff came up, and this is a 4 card. This is about stable foundation. There's 4 of them on the card. So I feel like the stable foundation comes from feeling whole within. That means having your masculine energy, your feminine energy. See, like, this card and this card are really familiar too. It's like wholeness. That's what I feel like, wholeness. And this is the emotional wholeness, and this is like the physical wholeness. This is like, with this you create this, and this is like leaving a legacy behind. This is like the empire. This is the empire. But to have the empire, you have to have this. Okay, so this happy family in reverse. This is Energy Oracle, by the way, if you care to know. Okay, in reverse, when the happy family card is reversed, it indicates a separation or emotional distance from family members or close friends. This disconnect may be from your family of origin, such as your parents or siblings, or it may be that something is standing between you and your present family members, whether it be your children or your spouse. There could be some hostilities that need to be worked out, or perhaps some fences that need to be mended. Communication and patience may be called for here, so let your intuition, just like the Empress, let your intuition, be your guide. Remember, real healing, that's what I was feeling with this, like family healing. Real healing starts when you choose to become your own loving parent, sibling, spouse, friend, or child. The reason in every relationship is self-honoring, and sometimes the karma is just to let go. So I was saying exactly, like, imagine your family, and I believe that our family, like, we incarnate with them because we have a lot of karma with them. I know certainly I did. Like, I had a lot of family karma, and I said sometimes the karma is just letting go. So that's why I said, like, imagine, like, sometimes, like I said, sometimes our family members can, like, not wanting to hurt them or hurt their feelings could stop us from following our heart's desires and doing what we came here to do, which is my personal experience, because we don't want people to hurt, you know, but we also need to do, and, like, that's why it says the karma is just to let go. Sometimes these people aren't meant to be in our lives forever, like, and I've always felt, like I didn't belong to my family, and it makes sense, you know, they were just, like, I had a lot to learn from them, and I'm so thankful that they were my teachers. I'm so thankful I learned everything I did from them, but sometimes it's just, you have to let go, and that's okay too, and that can be hard though. It's been so hard for me. I did not want to, because they mean so much to me, and I love them dearly. I love them so much, but it was hard for me to really let go. It was a challenge. I mean, I would just cry. Sometimes I still do, or, like, I'll feel guilt, but it's time for me to let all that go so that I can have my best life and pursue my dreams and not let anything stop me. And I don't want to hurt my family. Like, I don't want to, and sometimes I can let that stop me because I know sometimes that what I'm doing is hurting them. That's just not how I choose to see it. So with that does come, like, a lot of guilt, and I just have to move through it, and that's why it's important for me to be gentle with myself and to just nurture myself and take care of myself, because it's really like being 6 years old again, and I just feel completely rejected by my family. Like, they don't see me, they don't, like, I'm just a visionary, and I have a vision for my life, I have a vision for my future, I even have a vision for the future of America, and that's why I feel so passionate about America, and I just believe in my vision, and that can be hard for people to understand. They can just think, oh, well, you're just dreaming too big, or you just care too much, or you're, you know, and it's just like, no, I hate the word too much. I hate it. I'm just very passionate about what I came here to do, and I won't let anything stop me. So lastly, I'm going to pull a card from the Lightworker Oracle, because, I don't know, I just felt called to. So, and since I'm already at an hour just right now. That's okay. What's your message for us this full moon? So, I'm going to read this one book. They are kind of long, so what can you tell us? What do we need to know right now? What do we need to know right now with this full moon? Actually, let's ask the advice. What is your advice for us this full moon? Okay. The card I got was Spiritual Decree. I like this card. What number is it? 5. That's funny because at the beginning of the video I was like, I just feel change with this full moon. And sometimes change can scare people. But I don't know, it feels exhilarating and exciting to me, kind of. I just feel like there's a lot going on. And like positive movement forward is what I hear. Okay. You have been wondering what will happen next in your life, not realizing how much power you have to decide that for yourself. What do you wish to have happen next? Are you willing to use your divine birthrights of free will, voice, and empowerment to set the cosmic wheels in motion? I like that. If your answer is yes, then it is time to speak your truth to the universe. Decree it, and you shall be it. You have been praying for help, asking for a map and wanting directions. You are wise in the ways of your responsive approach to life. It is spiritually mature to trust the greater guiding power of the divine to direct your course. And yet the wishes in your heart are part of how that happens. Exactly, the wishes in your heart. That's what this is. Divine destiny is not something that just happens to you, but is something that you co-create as a living spiritual being with free will and divine love beating in your heart. You are being honored for your ability to ask for guidance and wait for signs. That's the feminine energy. You are also being asked to set intention and develop faith in yourself, to trust in what your heart yearns for, what you love so much that you are willing to go through the discomfort of growth to see it come to life. Oh my gosh, that's so perfect. I'm going to read that again. You are being honored for your ability to ask for guidance and wait for signs. You are also being asked to set intention and develop faith in yourself, to trust in what your heart yearns for, what you love so much that you are willing to go through the discomfort of growth to see it come to life. Beautiful. It is time for you to have the experience of seeing your intention blossom. Blossoming abundance. Blossom. See your intention blossom into manifestation. This does not mean that you have to make things happen. See, she doesn't force. This is her feminine energy. You don't have to make things happen. You are not responsible for how your manifestation occurs. That's divine timing. All we have to do is set the intention. The universe unfolds according to its own genius, of course. But you are responsible for the words, beliefs, and intentions you express that are the seeds of your personal creations. The universe then responds in its own wise and powerful way. When this oracle card comes to you, it is time to speak your truth. Oh goodness, I love this. I learned so much from this and I received so many messages. Okay. What does your heart truly yearn for? Focus on it and say it out aloud. Don't be afraid to speak your dreams, desires, wishes, and fantasies. Sometimes it is only in daring to speak them aloud that we really understand what we want. This can be a terrifying, liberating, exciting, and life-changing, moment. In this moment that we grow into a spiritual adult, becoming willing to take responsibility for our own life journey. It's all about taking the driver's seat. Yeah, I just love this message. Will you speak your heart truths now? Feel your words moving the energy from deep within, transforming your truth into sound and releasing it as intent to the universe. Don't worry about finding the perfect words, just speak freely from your heart. Give yourself permission to express your deeper desires and then let go and trust. That was beautiful. This is the invocation. By the divine authority in me, I intend to create, attract, and enjoy for the greatest good of all. A life of abundance in love, well-being, fulfillment, joy, and wisdom. I am willing to take the journey to grow into the fullest expression of my beautiful and true self. May these words be divinely empowered to create my reality. Love, peace, happiness, trust, surrender, strength, grace. If there is something you want to create in addition to this, express it aloud now. May the power of voice and decree, the power of spiritual authority, always be tempered by grace and divine mercy. Through unconditional love and my own free will, so be it. Okay, well that was perfect, and the perfect message I feel like to end this reading now that I've gone on for, an hour and 5 minutes. But I hope you enjoyed that. I hope it was helpful, and have a wonderful full moon. Like, relax, set your intentions, release what you want to release, and just relax. Like I said, sometimes, like, when I first began, like, the full moons were just really powerful, and so, like, I would get headaches, and it's important to stay very hydrated and drink lots of water, and which I need to do more of. So anyway, I hope this is helpful. I hope that you have, like, a wonderful day wherever you are. Sending lots of love. Thanks for listening, and have a wonderful day.